DFS Buff and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here, James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook Live show here. We are breaking down Wednesday's 6-game main slate tonight, James. You were the man on the playbook here. We're watching a little day baseball as well as we go live here today. Bobby Witt just homered. Paul DeJong just homered. Shohei Ohtani left today's game with some arm fatigue, both as a pitcher and as a hitter, though he homered already today as a hitter. So those of you who played maybe in seasonal fantasy baseball as a hitter today, you got that. But pitching, early slate, the chalkiest starter on the board, out after just 2 innings today. So hopefully you're all joining us here. We can run it back, get you a little money for the evening slate here with 6 games on tap.
Yeah, 6 games, and unfortunately, we didn't get the same 6 games. Over on FanDuel, we have the 6:40 start with Tampa Bay and Colorado kicking off the slate. They dropped the second leg of the Cincinnati-LA doubleheader that was rescheduled from Monday evening, and DraftKings is including that game, the Cincinnati-LA doubleheader, and they are not including the Colorado-Tampa slate. So we have a little bit of a split slate here. Both slates are 6 games. Just one starts 6:40 and doesn't include the late game, and the other one starts at 7:05 and does include the late game. So, if you guys have specific FanDuel questions, we're still going to break down the DraftKings slate. But please send any Colorado-Tampa Bay questions you may have our way, because Aaron Savali is taking the mound for Tampa Bay tonight. Austin Gomber taking the mound for Colorado. So there might be some things that we do in fact like.
Yeah, 100% for sure. So we'll touch on it. We'll talk about it here as you guys are rolling in. We appreciate you. We already see Mark in chat in here saying Tyon broke his heart and his soul. If you watched our live stream podcast from this morning, we did talk about Gary Carpenter. That guy is on an absolute heater right now. And then DePrince is in here playing that FanDuel slate, so I am sure he'll have a question on the Tampa Bay, Colorado game there as well. If you're new here, you haven't yet liked or subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. You're tuned in. Give us that little like button here. Subscribe to the channel. Get notified whenever we do go live for everyone here, breaking down all the slates. But before we do that, James, got to take care of a little housekeeping here. Friends over at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Go over to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. New users get a 100% deposit match up to $200. You can scan the QR code here on the screen. You can click it in the description as well. Use that deposit match to take part in their DFS Pick'em contest and or their fantasy football, basketball, and fantasy football championship contest. They're going on right now. They're got a chance for $500,000 in their fantasy football championship contest. So go check out rtsports.com. It's time for our RT Sports top DFS Pick'em plays of the day. Taking a look at the RT Sports board here, James, giving our top DFS Pick'em plays of the day. I want to go and start over in that Boston-Houston matchup, if you wouldn't mind. And I want to go take a look at Rafi Devers here. More than 6 fantasy points running up against Jose Urquidy here this evening. Devers, one of the hotter hitters on the Red Sox roster right now. A number he went over in this total yesterday. Obviously had a good series in New York. And they're facing probably their easiest matchup so far going up against the Astros and Urquidy here. So I look for Devers to get it done for us tonight.
Yeah, I'm interested in this game because it's kind of a low implied total, 8.5 runs. Neither team is really highly implied either. Urquidy has definitely been worse against righties, which has been a notorious thing for him, like year in, year out. But he does struggle with lefty power. So if Devers is going to get this done, I think it's going to come with something big. And obviously, if something big happens, we get more than just 6 lonesome fantasy points. I'm going to go to Washington, New York, and I just don't see a way Luis Severino has 5 strikeouts, John. I just don't. He's been abysmal, and I understand he's still throwing hard, and there are still some games where he has had strikeouts. But we're talking about the Nationals, who have been one of the best teams across the league in not striking out. Like, it's just what their MO is. They don't strike out. And so I'm going to go less than 5 strikeouts for Luis Severino here for the New York Yankees.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that was an obvious target of mine as well here this evening. Just going up and just looking to attack Severino where you can here. Let's stick it with a 2-pick tonight. Make it easy for the people at home. 3x their money. Luis Severino, less than 5 strikeouts. Rafi Devers, more than 6 fantasy points here. Again, go to rtsports.com/alarm, promo code alarm23. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $200 on your first deposit there. James, let's wrap it up. Let's turn it on over to the feature here of the evening, this DraftKings main slate. Go to look at Vegas. What totals, matchup, spreads are sticking out to you today?
Hilarious that we just did a 2-pick, and the Yankees and the Red Sox were both of our picks. Not to show any biases there. So 10 implied runs leads the slate. That is in the Mets and the Braves game. Slight lean on the under in some sports books, even money on others, but there is 10 implied runs there. Jose Quintana versus Charlie Morton. Interesting because both pitchers have been really good lately. So interesting to see 10 implied runs. 9 implied runs or 8, but 8 and 9 everywhere else. So there's nothing like too significant. We do have like a lot of good pitchers tonight, so that's not necessarily surprising. In terms of money line favorites, if you are including the FanDuel game in your player pool, Aaron Savali and the Tampa Bay Rays, biggest favorites on the board, -275, -278 actually over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Clayton Kershaw -225. Taking on the Cleveland Guardians tonight. Charlie Morton and the Braves are hovering around -200 favorites. So nothing like surprising other than, I guess, Atlanta. But like, I shouldn't even say Atlanta being in a 10 over under is surprising because like more often than not, they're just getting there themselves. So, you know,
this is going to be kind of interesting here because we're going to talk obviously about pitching and talk about our top hitters here. That 10 over under because Quintana's actually pitched, pretty well here. So wondering what gives. Either Quintana keeps his hot stretch or the Braves offense keeps running because they got some guys that are smoking hot right now. Let's go on over to the pitching side. Gossman's your top price pitcher. Kershaw at 99 and Morton at 9K. And Sale will include in there your top 4 guys, 8,500 and above. I've been at least playing Kershaw here. The pitch count, though, I know is still a little bit concerning for you. 67 and 71 pitches the last 2 outings, but it's Cleveland. I mean, how much more is the pitch count going to hold you back for Kershaw tonight?
I don't know. I mean, I wrote him up in today's playbook, so I'm kind of okay with it. I think this is one of those starts where you could get away with using Kershaw because when you look at what the Guardians have done in the month of August against left-handed pitching, you have to shield your eyes. It is abysmal. They have less than a 500 team OPS, like a 0.06 ISO. Like, it is as bad as it gets. They're last in every category offensively. And although they don't strike out a lot, they don't necessarily walk a lot either. And if Kershaw's, we know how efficient he just is naturally. Like, even when he's not on pitch counts, like we've seen Clayton Kershaw get through complete games, under 100 pitches or right around 100 pitches. So do I think there's an increase here? Yeah, I could see a scenario where we're back up to 80 pitches. I know the strikeouts haven't necessarily been there, but, they weren't there last night for Bobby Miller, or they hadn't been for Bobby Miller. And then the first 3 innings, he had 4 strikeouts. Right. Like, holy cow, like Bobby Miller's actually, missing bats tonight. I am getting to Clayton Kershaw. Like, you can definitely get to Gausman, right? I don't think anyone's going to like fault you for getting to Kevin Gausman. I think nobody on this slate has as much strikeout appeal consistently as Kevin Gausman. But Baltimore is a team that hasn't struck out a lot this year, and they have been pretty good against righties. And he's been very mediocre against them this year. And I think that's just kind of speaks to how good Baltimore's offense has been and can be against righties. So
Yeah.
I actually lean Kershaw for cheaper. And I also kind of like over Gossman. I kind of like Charlie Morton too at
Sure.
9K, who, you know, I'm not just like saying it because he's coming off the Yankee start, but he has put 2 good starts together now. And I know the walks could obviously be concerning. He walked the Mets 7 times 2 starts ago. And 10 base runners, not allowing a run. You are literally dealing with 2 base runners an inning with what Charlie Morton did. And to not allow a run, you say it all the time. Like, that's just luck, right? At that point, like, you're getting lucky. But he did navigate through. 3 of his last 4 starts have been very good. And we know the Braves offense in terms of support. I mean, nobody, no team supports their pitchers more than the Braves. So I like Charlie Morton again, even with the Mets' like recent success, because let's face it, the Mets offense has been pretty good at times lately. They're still in the bottom 10 in OPS and WOBA in the month of June. So, I think Kershaw's my favorite top spend. I like Morton. Gossman is fine to get to. The field is obviously getting to Gossman. That's not surprising to me. But Chris Sale is a wild card, but I have gotten to 0 shares of Chris Sale today, truthfully.
Yeah, I don't.
Not against this version of Houston. No thanks.
Yeah, not really where I'm looking to go. And again, I did the PrizePicks play today over Fantasy Alarm YouTube. You can check that out. I took Kyle Tucker here, going up over 7 fantasy points against Chris Sale. Lefty, but if you look at the power numbers against Sale this year, lefties are actually doing some damage here. I think it was like almost 3 homers per 9 innings against left-handed hitters. So, and we know Kyle Tucker has been a monster against lefties on the season as a lefty hitter. So I'm just a little worried on that as well. Pitch count obviously hasn't been great. Hasn't faced like really tough teams yet, and he hasn't pitched all that great. So I'm out on Chris Sale as well. But it just kind of brings us to like the next level here, right? I see 3 of you in chat asking us, Dan Kramer or Reed Detmers here in the mid-tier range. Are you interested in either guy in their spots? Kramer going against Toronto 67, Detmers at 76 against Cincy.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the entire playbook at Fantasy Alarm, but there's potential that I wrote up both those guys. And I'm not going to spoil it. You have to go over to fantasyalarm.com and look at today's MLB DFS playbook. But there is potential that I may or may not have written up both Dean Kramer and Reed Detmers. And look, Detmers was going into that Texas start, and you and I sat on these airwaves and were like, all aboard Texas. And then he was no hitting them through 7 innings. And, the thing about Reed Detmers is he's always kind of been he was a really good prospect. He threw the no-hitter last year that like kind of flashed it. He has a massive strikeout appeal. And that's why he is getting a lot of love in ownership tonight. He's the highest rostered pitcher by like 2x everyone else.
We've seen that before.
And we've seen that. I talked you into the Denver
I think it's it was a Seattle start, right?
Yep. And I talked you into it. And I think immediately upon reflection, you messaged me like 1 inning in. You're like, oof, Detmers. And I get it. But like, you look at the tier, there's no one else around this price that can strike out as many people as he can. I mean, he has 135 strikeouts in less than 120 innings this year. He has multiple double-digit strikeout outings. And what have we said about Cincinnati? They strike out a lot. Like they have one of the highest striker rates against lefties. So I like Detmers. You just have to, talk to yourself a little bit about what you want to do about a pitcher that's going to be 50% owned or around 50%. And then Kramer, like he wasn't supposed to start. This was supposed to be the Jack Flaherty start. But it's a normal, like Baltimore has had now with Flaherty 6 starters, and Kramer hasn't pitched in 7 days. So like normal rest, and he's been really good. And what have we said about Toronto kind of day in, day out? Like they've struggled against righties. They've been bottom 10 in OPS. They've been bottom 10 in WOBA. So I have gravitated to both of those guys. And also like, I'm just going to throw this out there. We just did the RT Sports Pick'em plays, right? And Mike the mailman is sitting in here saying he can't play him in PA. It's a bummer. Maybe you can do other, props, and you could throw our picks in with somewhere else. But like the field is getting to Luis Severino, John, and like we do this every fifth day, and I don't know why.
Right.
Because every time he takes the mound, he sucks. Every time he takes the mound, he is bad. Atlanta, bad. Chicago, the White Sox, bad. Houston, bad. Baltimore, terrible. KC, Like, why is the field getting here? Please.
Because it's Washington, and for whatever reason, it seems like we're the only ones that ever play them because we know how good they can be. And then the field avoids. I think it also could be the fact that as much as we target the Yankees against right-handed pitching, you cannot do that again with left-handed pitching. They are one of the best hitting teams in all of baseball against left-handed pitching. Even recently, they have a 404 WOBA against left-handed pitching. I think it's over the last 2 weeks. So they're thinking potentially here that, okay, maybe Sevy gives you 5, gives up 2, and gets a win because the Yankees hang 6 on Mackenzie Gore tonight, right, and Severino's only $5,400. Like, the win equity is the only thing I could maybe see be a reason to play Severino, but he can also give up 7 in 2 innings, and none of that matters anyways. So
right. I just and I get it. I said it earlier in the year, like I'm playing Severino at 7,000 or whatever he was because his price, and then he got shelled. But now we're 2 months later, and it's still getting shelled every slate. There's not a lot of strikeout appeal here. I know Severino has had 5 strikeouts a couple times in games that he's still been bad in, and that's at least not gotten him negative fantasy points. But Washington just doesn't strike out. So for him to be the second highest or third highest rostered pitcher tonight it's crazy pills to me. Even if he went out there and threw a perfect game tonight, right? If he throws a perfect game, I'd still be to be honest, he was the third highest rostered pitcher, and I stacked Washington. I'd rather, if I'm ranking the 4 members of this game, Washington's offense is first, seeing Severino's ownership being what it is, right?
Yeah.
I would say I really like the Yankees offense too. The offenses would be first and second, but seeing Severino being so highly owned, I would still die on that hill of even if he throws a perfect game, I'm dying on the hill of I think Washington is the better play as a stack because we're playing a guy who has clearly lost something this year.
I agree with you.
And rant. Sorry.
Sure. No. Well said. And, I agree with you. Just like when people were playing, the field was on Giolito, right? And I'm just why? He's not. And granted, the strikeouts were there. He got the strikeouts, but, still gave up, was it 4 runs or whatever it was? So, I don't know. Sometimes these bad pitchers just draw the appeal in certain stocks. Let's go on over to the catcher spot. I talk about our favorite plays here.
One more thing, John, if I can, just throwing it out there. I do if you're playing on FanDuel, Aaron Savali, 9,700.
Sure.
He's been, obviously traded to better win equity. Last start, 43 fantasy points. Great ballpark to pitch into in Tampa. So, and we know how bad Colorado's been. So just adding that on top of.
No worries. Kybert's a switch hitter. It means you get some lefty side here against the Yankees, and Severino at 39. O'Hop here, $2,900 against Richardson. We'll see if he's in the lineup because it's the doubleheader. I forget if he played the day he is. So we'll see if he catches both sides of the doubleheader. Maybe not. And then Connor Wong gets a righty. I know you mentioned your Urquidy. His numbers are far worse against righties, so maybe some Connor Wong love here at 26.
Yeah, I actually wrote Keibert Ruiz up in today's playbook, and not a lot of catchers get, I think, the
not too often
the fair shake of getting the coveted write-up spot. But he's been really good, dude. 215 ISO, 370 WOBA against right-handed pitching over his last 72 plate appearances, and just looking at Keibert Ruiz on whole scale, since the All-Star break, he's hitting 330, and nobody, and I mean nobody, ever talks Kybert Ruiz ever on this stream. Like, nobody mentions him in our comment section.
No.
Nobody mentions him in the playbook.
Definitely not on days where he hits 2 home runs. It's never once.
Nobody. But since the break, Kybert Ruiz, since the All-Star break, which is July 14th, so we're almost month and a half, 333 average, 953 OPS, 222 ISO, 403 WOBA. Guy's been elite, and now he's getting Severino, and I just talked about, like, the field's getting to a guy who's allowed a 312 ISO to lefties and a 471 WOBA. Like, again, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills that the field's getting to this guy, but Kybert's my favorite catcher of the day, my second favorite catcher of the day. I said it yesterday, like, spinning up on Will Smith would be a contrarian way, and I know the Dodgers, like, disappointed outside of Will Smith and Mookie Betts, but Will Smith homered, and when you look at Xavier's splits, righties crush him, and lefties do nothing against him, but it's all righties all the time. Will Smith hitting third again, and you did mention Connor Wong. I do like that split quite a bit because I do like the Red Sox righties. Finally some balance in this Red Sox lineup. I feel like, I know Story hasn't been good, but, like, the inclusion of, like, Pablo Reyes playing every day feels good. Having, like, more righty depth. Duvall being back, there's more righty depth. So, I like Connor Wong here, 2,600. I've pretty much broken it down to, like, 3 catchers. Spending up on Will Smith, playing Kybert, or Connor Wong when I'm not spending up.
Yeah, I agree with you there fully. I think the catcher position, we've had stronger catcher positions, but this is some interesting matchups for these guys that we're looking to go for here this evening. Moving on over to the first base position. I can't imagine Ohtani plays now. Left today's game after 2 innings with an injury, with fatigue. So unless the fatigue was like, all right, you homered already, let's just go ahead and, rest you for the night game, would be a bold strategy here. Mark wants to know what the top projected roster pitcher was. Did we mention who the top projected roster pitcher was?
Yes, Reed Detmers.
It was Detmers. Okay, I thought so. Mark, Detmers is your answer there. Angels since Reds. Again, we'll see if Ohtani plays or not, but if he doesn't, I know Curry's been decent for Cleveland, but hard not to like Freeman here.
He's been awful for lefties. He has been nails against lefties.
Okay. I guess I'm wondering, do you think which talent side plays out?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
On a smaller slate, is anybody getting to the Dodgers tonight?
Yes, second highest owned stack.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe then you pivoting to your Will Smith play like you did yesterday? Correctly calling the Will Smith homer off the pivot for Freeman?
Yes. Will Smith was one of the 3 catchers I like spending up on.
Yeah, I know. I heard you say. I was just wondering if that would be your strategy for tonight. Then.
Probably any Dodger righty, which a lot of them stink. The righties that they have in the lineups tonight, but yeah, I think that would probably be part 2. Probably part 2 tonight.
Meneses is 5K, but we're not in on Severino. Justin Turner hits everybody, and Urquidy struggles against righties, so can probably lock him in there. Where else are you looking at first base tonight?
Yeah, Meneses is like sub 3K on FanDuel. So, like, I would actually probably play him on DraftKings, truthfully, just, again, because it's contrarian to go against Severino tonight. Meneses, Turner. If you're not playing Dean Creamer, Brandon Belt's fine. Dom Smith at 2,700 is fine. I don't really love first base. I think Nolan Chanel probably leads off now that he's the one who came in for Ohtani. I assume that he starts the nightcap and probably leads off. So Chanel at 2,800 would probably be the best value. Not named Moustakas, who I was just going to talk about.
What do we do with Daniel Vogelbach?
It's so annoying. I don't know.
I mean,
Vreeland goes on vacation, and Vogelbach just starts taking over.
321, 1236, 4 homers and 11 RBIs in the last 10.
I don't know. I don't really got anything.
All right. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's it's he's doing something right now, right? So you gotta at least, you can only make fun of a guy for so long until he, proves you otherwise. So
Right.
yeah. And then I mean, the Yankees, you get to like DJ leading off. Like, any interest here? Where does your Yankee exposure start?
I mean, I'm very interested in the Yankees. I'm not interested in LeMahieu. Like, I don't know. He's just
sure.
I don't know what the ceiling is. When's the last time he had 14? Had 2 double-digit fantasy points games since July 23rd. I have a lot of interest in the Yankees, and DJ LeMahieu is near the bottom of the list.
Well, let's start off then over at second base. Then maybe Gleyber Torres is your initial Yankees interest. $4,100 is a nice price. He's been struggling, but again, the Yankees' numbers against lefties are just kind of off the charts here. 404 WOBA the last 14 days with a 373 batting average. Over the last month, 401 weighted on base for a 199 ISO and a 348 batting average. I mean, doesn't matter what lefties you're putting out there, they're just smacking them around. So Gleyber at 41 feels strong.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite second basemen of the day, and I don't think this is a very good position overall. Like, you have Mookie Betts, who I think once again is like the top play of the slate, cover boy of the playbook today. But Gleyber at 41 feels really good. He's had good numbers against lefties this year: 184 ISO, 334 WOBA, hitting third. Yankees 4.7 implied runs is one of the better marks on the slate. They're also implied for 1.5 home runs tonight. So, Judge and who else, pretty much. But I think Gleyber definitely could be in store for a big game here.
Yeah, 100%. I do like Drury just below him. Again, just a little power upside that you have there. Pablo Reyes, greatest hitting second baseman on the Red Sox at $3,200, gets that righty spot against Urquidy. Anybody else at second? You mentioned you didn't like the position all that much.
No, that's pretty much it. I have those players in the core play section. That's the entire position.
Third base. What's your top third baseman tonight?
So I like Austin Riley. He's had elite numbers against left-handed pitching. He's top half, which is saying something, but he's top half of the Braves lineup against lefties this year. 258 ISO, 350 WOBA. Has been elite against lefties his entire career. Again, it's all about, like, is Jose Quintana still going to just continue to pitch well? He limits a lot of fly balls against righties. He gets a lot of ground balls against them. He doesn't strike anyone out, and everything's put in play, and he does walk a lot of righties. So, that could be dangerous against the Braves. Put someone on in front of Riley, he hits a home run, and then suddenly it's 2-0. But I like Riley. I like Devers. I wouldn't be against getting to, like, Gunnar Henderson.
I was just going to ask you, doesn't it feel like this is a spot where Gausman just kind of blows up a little bit? Like, he has those random games every so often where, everybody's in on him. He's a top price guy. And then he goes out there like he did against, it was like Detroit. He just couldn't get anybody out and walk guys. The next, he gave up 5 runs, Baltimore could be that team at home, right? Some of their guys are starting to heat up here. How many people are playing the Orioles tonight? Nobody. Feels like a good time to play the Baltimore Orioles.
It does. I mean, no one plays the Baltimore Orioles like you play the Baltimore
Nobody
Orioles.
plays 1% Baltimore Orioles like I play 1% Baltimore.
They're the second lowest rostered team of the slate. Cleveland is the lowest, which I think is warranted. But
you won't find me playing the Guardians tonight. I'll tell you that.
No, please don't. Baltimore just got to Gausman like a few starts ago. 4 1/3, 8 hits, 3 earned. He had 10 base runners in less than 5 innings for Gausman.
Speaking to, man, right? Like, he's not he's not perfect,
The allure with Gausman is he has some massive games with strikeouts, right? He has, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double-digit strikeout outings this year. He also hasn't had more than 6 in 3 straight starts, and Baltimore's not a team that strikes out a lot, so I could definitely see a scenario where Baltimore is, they're the division leaders for a reason, right? They're winning the AL East, and Gunnar Henderson is currently in one of those stretches where he feels like he's the best player in baseball again, and why he was the number 1 overall prospect. So, I wouldn't be opposed to a contrarian Baltimore stack. They're not my core stack of the night, but I wouldn't be opposed to spending up on Baltimore.
All right. Where else are we going once we hit down to the mid and value tier at third base?
I mean, if you want to play Muncie, Curry has been so dominant against lefties, but he fits the stack. I would rather almost spend $1,000 less and play Chris Taylor, hitting fifth. I really like that lineup spot. Chris Taylor's been pretty good of late, other than the last Miami game. He had hits in 6 straight and, multiple stolen base game in that span. So I'm okay getting to Chris Taylor. It is slim pickings everywhere else. Like if you want to play Novelli Marte, what do you say? Hey, you can do it. Play Marte,
Sure.
2,500, but that's also going against the Detmers thing, right? Where Detmers is 50% owned. Like, do we want to?
Is Richardson already? So you could play
Moose. Yeah, what am I doing? I skipped right over him. I'm just like. I'm like looking at like who's in lineups and stuff, and I like glossed over him. He'll definitely play in this game.
I mean, I wasn't sure if I had misseen Richardson as a lefty.
No.
Love Mustak is $3,100 here. So
lefties didn't have great numbers against him in the minor leagues, but like, I'm not really scared off of.
All right, shortstop then. Up at the top, you got the top man in here. Ali, Bichette, we talked Henderson. CJ Abrams, though, is 5K against Severino. I understand current form hasn't been great, but he did just homer. And it's Severino. So I'm willing to bet on Abrams as a lefty hitter in Yankee Stadium against Severino here.
Same. He would be my top spend up at short as well. Pretty cut and dry for me as well. Everything you just said. He's been... I know he's slumping a little bit, but look, I mean, 3 of the last 5 games, we got double-digit fantasy points. We have 2 steals in that span. We have 2 home runs. So slowly turning it back.
Way to bust the slump is to face Luis Severino. So
correct.
Could be ready to rock there. Maybe Story. Urquidy doesn't really strike anybody out, so it could be a night where Story doesn't strike out 6 times. He's all those pimp job homers he hit at AAA, should have saved him for the major league roster. He's not.
I think he's missing it.
Not doing a damn thing for the team right now. Arcia and Grissom both in the lineup for Atlanta tonight. Any thoughts?
Dude, Arcia is elite against lefties. I say it every time. He's gonna be forgotten. No one's gonna play him. He faced left the other day, homered, 333 ISO, only behind Marcell Ozuna. 483 WOBA, tops on the team. Tops on the team with Acuna, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna. The 3 of like the 4 top MVP candidates are on one team, and he's better than all of them against lefties.
Yeah.
So I would definitely get to Arcia. But there is a shortstop that is $3,100 that you are flashing on the screen right now that I'm pretty much locking into all my lineups in.
On a little bit of a good run, 3 homers over the last 10. 970 OPS, and as we've mentioned here, Yankees just mashing lefties, and Volpe, one of the leaders in that charge.
Yep, 505 slug, 842 OPS, 264 ISO, 358 WOBA against lefties. And we know like the power's there, but we also know he has 20 stolen bases on the year too. So if he gets on, there's dual threat potential here, and you don't really get that at $3,100.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Anybody else?
No. I mean, you mentioned Pablo Reyes at second, so if you wanted to play him.
Alrighty, outfielders then. You have Acuna versus lefty, obviously always in a lead play at 68. You mentioned Mookie against righty, Curry against righties at 66. Are we going Judge here at $6,200 though?
How would you rank 6K and above? If you, I guess, I don't know, do we exclude? I assume Trout plays because he didn't play the first half of the doubleheader. I assume Ohtani doesn't play because arm fatigue.
Right.
Why would they remove him and then put him back in the game? Like or the next game. I don't understand.
I would agree.
How would you rank the 6K guys? You can include Mookie.
Yeah, Mookie's probably last, I guess, right? I'd go with Cunha, Judge, and Betts here.
So I have Mookie first. He's my
I just
top
don't
play
like
this slate.
the stadium. I mean, I don't know. Better hitter environment for Judge and Acuna. Better hitting matchups possibly as well. I know you mentioned Curry better against lefties, but I don't know. I feel like Judge and Acuna have better scoring opportunities.
I mean, the ballpark for the Yankee case hasn't necessarily been there this year because it hasn't been.
Is that because the Yankees have sucked though, or because the ballpark isn't?
Potential.
I think it's mostly. I don't think the ballpark has changed. I think the team has changed. So
there's definitely potential for.
It's like how Coors isn't the leading run scorer anymore. It's like, well, yeah, because their offense is terrible.
This year, righties again, Xavier Curry, 232 ISO, 342 WOBA, 13% strikeout rate. The ground ball rate that he has allowed is just over 20%, 40%, 41% of the time fly balls. So
Sure.
I'm also looking at Mookie Betts, who's hitting 500 over the last 10 games,
Sure.
and you're like, no one's really hotter in baseball than this guy who suddenly just 300,000 OPS.
Like a good time to fade.
Feels yeah, okay. I'll rank them differently. I'll actually have Betts, Judge, Acuna.
Okay.
Not again, we're ranking them, and I'm not saying I wouldn't play Acuna. I would play all of them. I would play each one of them. I have no problem playing.
You heard it here. James says never play Ronald Acuna in your life. I mean, this is all a long way for me to play Kyle Tucker tonight anyway. So, and Lane Thomas at 55.
That's fair.
Mid-tier guys, you could go Chas McCormick. Ozuna's picking right up where he left off.
Oh, my
got
God.
got hosed with like the worst umpire performance ever on 820. 2 hits, 3 home runs. Like, man's out here just, I don't know what. At one point he couldn't hit anything, and now he can't not hit anything. So, Duvall's been the only one in on the Red Sox lineup doing anything lately. Back-to-back hands at a homer. You mentioned the Urquidy numbers versus righties here. Stanton actually has like really good numbers against lefties, which doesn't make any sense because he's hitting under 200, but like he has a 400 ISO versus lefties or something.
Yeah.
So I don't want to play Giancarlo Stanton tonight. Do you have to play Giancarlo Stanton tonight?
I don't think you have to, but it is very head scratching, just like the season he's had, because he does. Now it is a really small sample, right? It's like a 50 plate appearance sample, but you're right. He has a 370 ISO and a 417 WOBA. Like it's
insane.
He also, which is incredibly weird, has a 6% strikeout rate, which I think was the most surprising number. Not the 400 ISO, not the 400 WOBA. The 6% strikeout rate was the most surprising number because he whiffs worse than anybody in baseball. Other than Javi Baez, he whiffs worse. Like no one whiffs worse than Javi Baez, but Stanton is second for sure. I don't know. Like honestly, I would probably, to be honest, I think there's two other. How about this? There's 4 Yankee outfielders tonight. Stanton is 4th for me, which was scary to say. How about that? Bader at 3,300, I'd rather play. And Everson Pereira, who they called up and made his debut yesterday, hitting 7th, I'd rather play at min salary. So I get the numbers for Stanton. He's just been so bad, as you said. And like he's not like discounted. Like $300 more, you just mentioned Ozuna. I'd rather get there. For $200 more or $100 more, I wrote Duvall up in the playbook today. He's been great. And you mentioned their Urquidy split. So, like, I know what you're saying about Stanton, and I get it. If he hits a home run tonight, tip of the old ball cap to whoever's playing him, hitting 4th at 4,200. But it's just like Mark just said. It's so bad. He's so bad it hurts. And as a fan of the team, it hurts. It hurts so much more, Mark. Trust me.
When we look down in the value tier here, what are the names that stick out to you? I mean, Stone Garrett's been continues to hit $3,700 for him. Varsho, as we talked about, starting to heat up. Gets Kramer here. What are your thoughts on this little value range?
Yeah, both those guys are fine. Bader fits in that category too, 3,300. I think what the Angels do in the evening game is fine. Like if Renfro at 3K is in the lineup, I mean, possibly I'd assume he's going to play just with everything that just happened to the Angels. Like if Otani doesn't play, if Trout actually can't play, like both those guys. But I don't want to, I don't want to bury the lead here. Kevin Pillar tonight, John. Do you see where he's batting in the lineup this evening?
Kevin Pillar this evening is hitting all the way down. Second tonight.
Yes. So
$2,600.
I know he hasn't been great of late, but he's been great against left-handed pitching all year long. 212 ISO on the year. I'm getting to some Kevin Pillar, and by some I mean a lot of Kevin Pillar hitting second. I know.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it was Mark the other day told us he had like 100% Kevin Pillar in his lineup. So,
yep. And it's been like he's been disappointing for sure.
But he's hitting second.
But he's hitting second. And then there's two Stone min salary players that we could get to. One's Everson Pereira for the Yankees.
Yeah.
He was their third overall prospect, had a great campaign at AA and AAA. Gets the righty-lefty split here. And then it's Wilyer Abreu, who made his debut for Boston. That was just, I mean,
his numbers
insane.
At AAA were wild. Yeah.
Yeah, over the last, whatever amount of games. So you could just, there is ways to spend up. And we had the debate on Acuna Judge bets, right?
Yeah.
There's ways to get both of them into your lineups tonight. There's two to three of them. Technically, you could play all of them because you could play Mookie Betts over at second if you wanted to as well.
Yeah.
So there are ways to spend all the way up on a bunch, and two min-K top prospects are the way.
Yeah. Also, a little revenge game here for Wilyer Abreu because he was part of the Houston trade package for Christian Vasquez last year. So going up against the team that dealt him to Boston here, hitting seventh. A lot of people were surprised he got the call up over Ceddanne Rafaela because, Ceddanne obviously the higher ranked prospect, but you can't. They're just trying to catch lightning here. A guy that's hitting 500 with 15 home runs in the last 30 days. So I don't blame them for that as well. All right, let's give our call of fame here. Give me your home run call of the evening.
Home run call of the evening. I'm gonna go with Mookie Betts. He's my top play of the night. I'm
doubling down on it. It's all about it.
Doubling down.
I'm gonna go Lane Thomas against Luis Severino.
Dude, Washington's price, by the way, I'll just run through it on FanDuel real quick. Just maybe give you some want to go play over there. Lane Thomas is 3,400. He's the most.
Because the Prince wants to know. Do we say any FanDuel plays? So
we'll run through some for you right now to Prince. So Lane Thomas is the most expensive national at 3,400. Abrams is the only other national over $3,000 tonight. So or 3,000 even, and then everyone else is below 3,000. So you can play anyone.
What's our FanDuel pitcher for our guy here?
FanDuel pitcher. I don't think you can get. I don't love Kershaw at 10.8, Gossman at 11K, Morton 10K. I like Savali if you're spending up 97. I don't mind Dean Creamer at 8K either.
Okay. And we're going value with the Nationals tonight.
Value with the Nationals. I mean, yeah. I mean, the Yankees are really cheap. They don't have Everson Pereira in the player pool, which kind of sucks. But Volpe's $2,700. I would say he's one of my favorite values of the board over there.
All right. If you got any more questions to Prince, get us in that Discord. We see you over there in our premium Discord channels. If you want to be like the Prince and be part of our Fantasy Alarm family, you can go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Take advantage of our all-pro offer there. If you want to get the annual subscription package, become a member of the family for a year. It's 40% off the month-to-month price when you break it down. So really, it's a fantastic chance to get an opportunity to be with us all year, cover all sports, seasonal and DFS, get access to our premium Discord, get access to free draft guides and cheat sheets. Also, it's a 7-day free trial, so you can check that out as well. All right, I did Thomas. You did bets. What's yours top stack today?
Top stack. I'm gonna say the Yankees. I'm gonna go with the Yankees as my top stack today.
Okay, Yankees with your top stack. My top stack today. Give me Washington. We'll keep it rolling. They're not cheap anymore, so like they don't count as
they are not. They are not cheap.
Tuck, you got to go. Thomas and Meneses and Abrams and Kyber are all expensive. So give me Washington. We'll stick with that game. My contrarian stack. I'll go Boston today.
Okay.
What's your contrarian play?
I like the Angels quite a bit against Richardson. Just they're so cheap. Moose is 31, Chanel's 28, O'Hop's 29 if he's in the lineup. So there's a Brennan Drury 38. So there's a bunch to like about the Angels on the late slate.
I like Angels. And then your value play of the evening.
Anthony Volpe.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Weiler. See if he gets his first home run here against his former team. We'll run that out. All right, build a lineup here. We obviously like Yankees. Let's start there. Let's go Volpe, Gleiber, and what's the outfielder? Judge,
yeah.
All right. Catcher will run Kybert.
Yep.
First base. What do we want to do?
Mid-tier with Meneses, Turner, or going down to like.
Let's go Turner. We'll go Weiler.
Because we can play Moose.
Yeah, Moose at third. I like that. Gives us 77 for an outfielder, 2 starters. All right, our starters here. We were in on Detmers. And then
Kershaw.
56. Thomas. Look at that.
Love when a plan comes together.
Full on game stack here for the Yankees Nationals. 2 Boston, 1 Angels, Kershaw, and Detmers with $100 left over. Guys, any other questions you got for us here? Throw them in the chat now. Forever hold your peace. Otherwise, you can find us in the Discord. Again, free 7-day trial access here. Get into our premium Discord. Get access to our DFS playbook. All the premium content out on Fantasy Alarm. Get the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and Fantasy Football Cheat Sheet for free when you sign up as well. You can scan the QR code on the screen. You can click the link in the description to take advantage of everything we got going on here today. Otherwise, James and I will be back tomorrow. 5-gamer on tap for everybody for Thursday evening. Good luck tonight, and we will catch you guys. We got another question. We got one in. Nope, just a thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. For tuning in here today. We will be back tomorrow. Good luck tonight. We'll talk to you later.